find our own food. Life was all about moving. And even, if you think about the caveman days and man was out hunting and women were gathering, now we go to Pick and Pay, we go to the supermarket, we take what we want off the shelves, we put it in our baskets and we leave. And we spend more of our time sitting. And our bodies were made to move. So we all kind of know, I think, that it's good for us to move, but really, why is it good for us to move? I'm not sure that we are all au fait with that. So when it comes to chronic disease, I think if we look at actually the physiological movement of our bodies, chronic disease is hugely impacted by how we move. And one of the great things, in a way, one of the sadnesses is that doctors are now using movement and exercise as medicine. And the fact that we have to prescribe movement is very sad, but it's also exciting that doctors are seeing that movement can make a huge difference before we move into prescription medication. And the impact that movement can have on chronic disease is massive. So the obvious one is weight loss. Movement can have, or exercise, physical activity, and the difference between, I suppose it's important to look at the difference between physical activity and exercise. Physical activity is daily living, the movement that we do in daily living, gardening, walking the dog, making a meal, even that movement is physical activity. Hoovering, sweeping, playing with your children, whereas exercises are more formalized. I'm going to go for a run. And so today I'm thinking more around physical activity. And we do so little of it in this day and age. We sit at desks and then we sit in our cars and we don't do what we used to. So we gain weight. And the impact of weight gain on chronic disease is that we are more prone to diabetes, we are more prone to cardiovascular disease. And the wonderful thing about physical activity is the impact that it can have on weight, but also on cardiovascular disease. For example, if you think about the muscle of the heart, as soon as we start asking the heart to beat more, that muscle is going to grow bigger and stronger. And so already just asking the heart to do more work, we're lowering the risk for cardiovascular disease. The impact of movement on insulin sensitivity means that diabetes is less of a risk. And, I don't think this is a space to get too scientific about it, but the impact of exercise on our blood pressure means that it can lower blood pressure, and it also lowers cholesterol. So already in that space, physiologically, you don't then have to take all of these medications. If you just start moving your body, you can lower the chances of cardiovascular disease, of diabetes, of hypertension. How amazing not to have to take any pills to do that. And then psychologically, I think most of us know that word, endorphins, but our brains actually love exercise. The impact of exercise on our brains, we think more clearly, we feel better. Those endorphins make us psychologically feel better. So on our mental and emotional health, movement and moving our bodies can move us out of depression, out of anxiety. And just even that, and the studies that have been done on the impact of our psychological and mental well-being on our physiological, on cardiovascular disease, on diabetes, they're so inextricably linked. And what moving our bodies can do for all of those just shows us how important it is for our lives.
I really love how you have separated the two words, so physical activity and exercise. So for us, our philosophy really is around a balanced lifestyle, the nutrition that you are putting into your body, the supplementation support, your movement, and your mental health. So we're looking at well-being and in a holistic way. Some people feel that movement is exercise and it's 5 or 7 days a week of going to the gym and that's exercise, and they go, wow, well, that's just so much, I'm just not going to start. But physical activity, on the other hand, when you think, actually, picking up that broom and sweeping my floor is going to get my heart rate going, it's going to get my blood moving, the standard one, let me take the stairs instead of the elevator. Those simple things of movement. So getting moving is not this insurmountable task of getting yourself to the gym or putting your tackies on and going for a run. You can start with those small steps. And how incredible to think that in terms of chronic disease prevention, we are leaning more towards a sedentary lifestyle, especially with us all, working from home behind a computer, the Zooms and the emails and the desk-driven jobs where we can't necessarily go out during this time. But what we can do is we can have this physical activity element, and that's going to have a positive knock-on effect to chronic disease prevention. And as you say, take the stairs and you may not have to take that pill. Like, what an incredible thing to do. And what you were sharing, so doctors are now prescribing movement. It sounds silly to think this thing that we could actually do every day needs a prescription, but to get our mindset thinking around that change of behavior requires maybe a prescription to start. And once you get into the exercise part, and I know personally, if I go for a run, those endorphins that kick in make me want to run again because of the good feeling I feel at the end of my run. And that changes my interaction with my family, the way I am with my, maybe my kids. I come back, I feel almost like this tension has just been let out, because have that feeling where I can breathe a little easier and I feel better. My husband always says to me, I can see you haven't surfed in a couple of days. Maybe it's time to go for a paddle, because really it's that feeling that gives you those endorphins. So how incredible that could also equate to disease prevention for people. And I think most people don't realize. So in terms of physical activity and exercise, how much should we be moving or exercising?
So the prescribed amount of activity that we should be doing is 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. So that is, still being able to talk, being able to hold a conversation, feeling kind of comfortable. So 150 minutes is 30 minutes a day of moderate activity, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. So for some people, I thought of 75 minutes of vigorous activity. That is a lot more, really pushing yourself, not being able to speak, high heart rates. So needing to go out there and do something a little bit more, so outside of the home probably, or a combination of the two. So that is on the cardio side of things. And then it is recommended that we do 2 resistance training exercise sessions a week. The impact also of that on osteoporosis, building our bone strength, that just moving our bodies can have a huge impact on, then as we get older, our bone strength as well. And, keeping our muscles strong enough through resistance training is really important, as well as stretching. So, stretching can be included. And my husband always tells me when he's waiting for the kettle to boil in the morning, he does some stretching. There are opportunities within our day to do it. But the basic guidelines, 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous, or a combination, plus 2 resistance training sessions a week.
30 seconds, 30 minutes, when you hear about that, 30 minutes a day is really not a big number that you're aiming for. And what is really amazing is that we've realized through this time, you can bring exercise into your home. You don't need very much, or if anything, and you can use a lot of what you have at home for a home-based program. So 30 minutes is not a large number, but really, why, essentially, if 30 minutes is just such a small number in our day, why do people struggle to get enough movement in their day? What is the thing that is maybe stopping them from taking those 30 minutes?
I definitely think a lot of it is the way we think about exercise. You know, as you were saying, we have this kind of idea of, if I'm going to exercise, I need to be getting out and putting on my tackies, and I hate doing that. If I'm honest with you, at school, I used to write my own sick notes every single week for PE. I mean, the teacher must have been like, oh, here she comes again. I didn't like exercise. I didn't see the relevance of it for me, and it was uncomfortable. And it was only really when I started rowing at university that I found a way of moving my body that was not about, I've got to do this to be healthy. It wasn't about a kind of punishment. And I think that a lot of the time we look at movement, probably subconsciously as well, as this kind of punishment of something that I have to do. And I found a sport that I loved to do. I wanted to do well at it. I wanted to be in the first crew. And so I worked really hard at it. And the training became something that I loved doing. It was social. I had people that I rowed with, and it was challenging for me in terms of, I want to get to somewhere. And I think that we think about exercise and movement often with a negative lens, and we don't have it aligned to our values. You know, if we can align it to the things that are important to me, why do I want to do this? Just to step out. I want to do this because I want to be able to play with my children. I'm going to go for a walk today. Oh my gosh. And then you have, oh, I actually really enjoyed that. Now I want to do it again. I'm going to do it tomorrow because it was great. And now I find that I'm getting fitter and I'm getting more able to do it. And I think that first step is just so this mountain in front of me that is too big for me to even consider, because I'm now overweight, or I have diabetes, or I have high cholesterol, and our thoughts then around that are also negative. And so we have this often have a negative relationship with our bodies in how we engage with them. We don't even know what they do need. And the thought of doing movement is so far away from where we're sitting at our desks and what we do on a day-to-day basis that we're kind of stuck.
Absolutely. And for somebody who is in that stuck place, what would you advise for them how can they move more? So you're feeling this way, you have this almost barrier to start. What is that thing that they can do just to start?
I think the first thing is to find a reason to start. Why do I even want to move my body? I want to move my body because I want to see my grandchildren one day, or I want to be able to enjoy going for a hike eventually. And so have a goal in mind for why do you want to move your body? I want to be healthy, to live a long life, or I want whatever it may be that you want. And then just take that first step of doing something small. So as you said, take the stairs instead of the lift. Park just that little bit further away from the supermarket. You know, even go to the loo that's upstairs. You know, my house, I work from home, my office is downstairs, there's a loo downstairs, but if I go to the loo upstairs, you know, all of those things add to that 30 minutes of movement. One of the things I often tell clients to do is set an alarm on your phone for every 30 minutes. And when that 30-minute alarm goes off, get up out of your desk And if you have 5 minutes, go for a walk around the block. If you don't, go for a walk around the room, or do just that moving your body already is the pill that you need to take to start things happening. And the more that you do that, the more then you will want to do it, and the more you'll be able to do. And so, but I definitely think the first step is to have a reason why you want to do it, because then when the alarm goes off, it's too easy to say, I'm just going to sit here because I can't be bothered. But that alarm actually is saying, I want to be healthy and well because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, I'm going to get up from my desk and I'm going to go for a walk around the block.
Absolutely. Having that why would be the first step. And I think in terms of people who are maybe sitting there feeling the barrier of not starting and having all the excuses of why not, changing that mindset to say, this is my why. I have it high up here, in front of me at my desk. And every time that alarm goes off, that's the why that I'm going to get up and do that movement. I think the why in everything in life, in our mental health and our nutrition and our movement, that why is so important. We know that we have to do it, but the thing that gets you off your bum to go and do it is the why. So finding your why is important on the journey. Thank you so much for being with us today and just talking about the importance of movement on well-being. It's very much part of the Sally Ann Creed journey and the foundation of what we're about, making sure that we encompass mental health, movement, nutrition, and all the additional support you need. So thank you, Charlotte, for being with us today and sharing about movement.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.